Hi everyone, I'm Taluka from Markers and Minions, and this is my support Facebook group for Benchmark Advance. Welcome new members. To get things started before we start talking about our review and routines, I have this document to share with you in the comments. This is a document that links to all of our routines and procedures for this group. It has our collaborative drive on there with access to all the resources that we share and so forth. Take a moment to look at that if you are new. Let's recap real quick. Hey guys, recap real quick for last week. Last week's video was all about, hi Joan, was all about getting started with Benchmark Advance, and it was filmed live at 4 p.m. last Sunday. It's been archived under the group's videos tab. I have not uploaded it yet to YouTube, I keep forgetting, but all of my videos eventually make it over to my YouTube channel as well. So people that are not on Facebook can access it from there. So if you're just adopting Benchmark, you have no idea where to start, that's a good video to watch, getting started with Benchmark. Let's see, I also posted a new blog post in my series, Quick Guide, my Quick Guide mini blog post series. I don't know, it's a lot of words, it's confusing. And that's on my blog, markersandminions.com, and I have a link to it here. It's all about a supply list. So one of the questions that comes up often is, what do I need to buy for my students? What are they going to be using when I'm teaching Benchmark? What am I going to be using, etc.? So I came up with a basic supply list just based on what I used in my third grade classroom the last 2 years teaching Benchmark. Hello. Why, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so here is the link in the comments to that blog post that has the suggested supplies. Also, last week I launched a July challenge, and it's to come up with a daily schedule that incorporates Benchmark somewhere within it. So whether you're spending 120 minutes on it, 60 minutes on Benchmark a day, whatever your schedule looks like. We'd love to see what it looks like. Just post it in the comments thread for the July challenge photo. That photo can be found under the announcements at the top of the group. It's kind of like pinned up there, so it won't get lost in the feed. That's the July challenge. And then I'm taking all of those schedules and I'm organizing them onto a Google document that's going to be within our collaborative drive, so that you can go and look at other grade levels, other teachers' daily schedules, and see if you can get any inspiration from that. Hi Linda, that's great news. Who's moving schools? All right, let's see. Okay, so also before we jump into this, I'm gonna have a sale, yay! It's my birthday next weekend, July 15th, so next Sunday actually. So I'll hop on next weekend for a live video, and then I'm gonna have a TPT sale just on my own for Saturday and Sunday. So I'll make like a little infographic and I'll post it tomorrow. But just remember that. And then I'm excited about that. Yeah, that's it. So should we get started? First things first, if you read the caption on this video, I included a link to a review and routines planning template. Now, Tina, get out of here. Really? That's why we get along so well. We're both Cancers, July 15th. Oh, yay, congrats, Linda. That's exciting. I spoke to someone else from your district who was going to be moving schools, and she was real excited to go to Dissinger. Okay. Joan. Thank you. Okay. was I doing? Let me close some of these tabs. I linked that already. Okay, so yes, in the caption, you'll see a planning template for the review and routines. I just purchased Adobe Acrobat, where it lets you create editable PDFs. So from this point on, I'm going to be making a lot more of my resources editable. As long as you have Adobe Reader, you can open it up and type directly onto it, change some of the fields that I put in there, and it still uses my fonts. They're embedded. So this template is actually completely digital. You can type onto it. It looks like this. Now, I did the first 5 days for you. So this, when you download it, all of my personal plans are here already. I got exhausted after day 5, so I was like, yeah, this is a good starting point. So basically, you type right into these boxes here, and mine go lower than the box. So when you're accessing it online, you can just scroll down and see what your whole plan is. So you're not confined just to the space. I also put little Post-its, these little signs here. They're yellow Post-its. You click on those, and that's where I have like more detailed lessons, or like links to the books that I used for my read alouds and things like that. So yeah, first 5 days is done for you. This follows the first 5 days of 3rd grade. But honestly, and we'll talk about this a little more, the skills are so similar across the grade levels. So this might not be applicable for that particular day for you, but you might want to copy paste onto another day. Now, the review and routines are meant to introduce your class to the procedures and the routines of how your community is going to function. Not just within ELA, largely within ELA and your small group and your whole group time, but a lot of the things that they're learning in that first 15 to 20 days are applicable to your whole entire classroom environment for the whole year. Now, you start at day 1. It's meant to be started day 1. And you're not using the actual curriculum yet. So you're not pulling out the kids' Unit 1 reader yet. You're not using your Unit 1 TRS yet. You're just using picture books. So it's kind of, I think, what most of us use anyway that first week of school to teach certain classroom community concepts. So you could choose your own picture books and you teach these routine lessons. For K1 and 2, it's 20 days, the first 20 days. And for 3 through 6, it's the first 15 days. Some people shorten those, some people extend those. When I had a 2-3 combo, I just did the 15, I taught up. They're so similar anyway. And let's see. Yeah, so meant to be started day 1. It goes well with a lot of your other classroom week 1 lessons that you already do. So I put together, let me see if I can find it, a blog post last year. So it's an old one. And it's my 5 activities that I do the first week. And it goes really well with the benchmark review and routines. So let me link it here and it can give you some ideas. My favorite books to introduce concepts the first week are How Full Is Your Bucket? And there's a new Frida book about Frida Kahlo that I found that I love. Let's see, there's a book of poems by Maurice Sendak. And Miss Nelson is Missing, of course. That's a good one. Okay, here's my blog post. Found it. There we go. So those are my first day or first week of school activities. And it merges really well. I also included them in here with the different titles that I use and then the different activities that I do, in addition to the lessons within the TRS. So how to access these review and routines lessons. I don't have the physical stuff with me. Since I'm taking next year off, I'm officially not the owner of any benchmark stuff. And this past week I was kicked off of my my school's texting chat thing. So sad. But anyway, you can access it online. I still have my login by filtering by your grade level, and then click on unit 1, and then click on the TRS. When you open up the TRS online, you'll see up at the top there's a bar that says grade level resources, and then you'll see review and routines, and then you'll see 1 through 10 for all the units. Click on review and routines. The first thing you're going to see is something that looks like this. It's a pacing guide. So this is 2nd grade. I printed out every grade. So basically it's got the same headers, same categories that I've included here on the template. You've got every day you're going to be establishing routines. Now when you're establishing your routines, it's like transitions. How are you going to call your kids to the carpet, or how are you going to have them get their supplies, or whatever that is. So it's stuff you're teaching anyway. And like listening habits, and how to preview a text, how to pick the right book, things like that. The next category here is read aloud and shared reading. So here's where you're bringing in your own picture books, your own favorites from your classroom library. There's also a suggested read aloud list, which I've never honestly even looked for. I've never even come across it on the website. If anyone knows where to find that, let us know. But I guess there's a suggested list of read aloud titles that you can use. But these are where I bring in just my own favorites from my own personal library. You know, the ones we keep behind the cabinets that the kids can't pull out. And then we've got shared writing, shared reading. I'm going crazy, hold on, because I'm looking at 2 things. The read aloud and shared reading. Then you've got the independent reading, which apparently starts, I think, in 3rd grade, but I would start that even in primary too, especially if you're a daily 5 lover. Get them reading independently for that Read to Self Center. And then there's independent reading, writing to sources, independent writing. So in primary, writing to sources is called shared writing. Once it gets to 3rd grade, it's called writing to sources. It's the same thing. They're using a text and they're writing about it. So you're getting them used to reading strategies, talking about their reading, and then writing about their reading using whatever text that you like. Now, for me, since last year was my 2nd year with Benchmark, I did not have to do all 15 days at all. And you might find, if you're in year 2, you might find that these routines are going to be already used by your students, so you might be able to cut down on your 15 days. Last week I think I did it for the 1st week, and then we started Unit 1 the 2nd week of school. Let's see. Also, you'll find that you're going to be able to make a lot of connections to other teaching strategies, basically. You'll see that the workstations, the centers that are introduced in these first 15 to 20 days is essentially daily 5. So it's what the kids are going to be doing at their center independently while you're pulling your small group to read. So the 4 biggies that I think with workstations are with Benchmark are the reading workstation, writing workstation, listening workstation, and computer workstation. So some kind of tech. Those are the big ones. Of course, you can add or modify centers to your liking. Those are just the first ones that they introduce. Let's see. You'll also see that there's like accountable talk, even though I don't think they say those words. There's accountable talk, respectful conversations. There's a lot of Kagan in these, if you're familiar with Kagan strategies. They even reference like stand up, hand up, pair up, which I don't know how they're able to do, because it's a total Kagan thing. But yeah, as you're going through your first 15 to 20 days, you'll be able to see those connections there. Let's see. So I talked about the different things you'll be teaching. For those workstations, I'm in the middle of making some charts that you can actually, because I got the editable PDF thing, so you can actually make your anchor charts on there, and then you can put them up all year long at your workstation. So once I'm done with those, I'll share those here. Let's see. Now, during that read aloud block, after you're doing your establishing routines, your transitions and all that, when you pull out your favorite books to do your read aloud, some of the skills that you'll be teaching are going to be, I made a list. Let's see. How to annotate text, respond to reading, how to have a respectful conversation, accountable talk, like I said, visualizing, questioning, making connections to the text, or like text to self or text to text, looking at characters, problem solution. So a lot of these skills are going to be across grade levels. You might have a little bit more advanced ones. This is taken from third, but it's more or less those skills that are across the board. And the annotating, that kind of thing, the response to reading, writing to sources, that starts in kinder, and that's carried throughout. So these are the ones that I feel are pretty universal. I've got a bunch of resources available for those skills, and I pulled them out of my crate. So one of the skills is the text annotating. I've got these little posters that you can put up by your focus wall or whatever. These annotating symbols are free on my TPT shop. If you are doing a focus wall, I've got the jumbo letters that say focus wall. I've got letters that say annotate. That's all free on there. I've got the Lift a Line student response sheet. So Lift a Line is a strategy that students use to respond to text, where they take a line from the story and they respond to it. So this is on there. That's a freebie. It shows them how to, cite where they got it, and then lift that actual line as evidence, and then respond to it with a picture and writing. So simple. That's available there. I've also got the response to reading questions. Benchmark calls it the question jar. And this is something that you do in your first 15 to 20 days, and then you stick it in a center, and this is what they can work on all year long, just depending on whatever book they're reading. I've got fiction questions, and this is, Benchmark gives you like 4 or 5 of each, and I added a whole bunch. Fiction, nonfiction, and then I print them out on different colors so that they're separated that way. And then I've also got questions that are applicable to both genres. So I would cut these out, put them in one jar, and then I would cut these out, put them in the other jar. So see how these ones are repeated twice because they can go in both jars. And then they basically, like Kagan Fannin pick, they choose one whenever they're reading a story. They choose a question out, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and then they can respond to it. And I have kind of the primary and the upper elementary version. So this is the primary. So they take their question strip that's laminated, of course, place it right here, and then they respond to it. And then I've got upper, where they have to write the question, and then it's just a written response. So, and then there's labels for your question jar. That's on my TPT shop. I also made, I got a little crazy with Post-its this week. I made close reading and annotating Post-it notes. So they look like these. So cute. So they've got different response to reading or close reading skills on them. These are just some of them. They look so, I don't know why, this makes me so happy. And then I plan on if I was teaching next year, I would plan on using those in my small groups because those leveled readers aren't consumable. So those are kind of cute to use. I've got all of these skills included in the Post-it note file. There's some emoji ones, so sorry if you can't see what those are. And then if you do download this, let me know if you want anything else, and I can always add more to that file. Since people like to use different symbols. And then the last thing that I introduce in the first 15 days is the questioning, so answering text-dependent questions. And so I have those bookmarks, of course, in my TPT shop, and those are for every unit thereafter. Now, the skills that the kids will be learning in these review days are going to be used both in whole group and small group time. So you'll find, like I definitely found the first year that I did all of the days, a lot of the stuff that I taught didn't carry over, or I ended up not using. But you'll also find that some of those skills that you need the kids to have both in whole and small groups are going to be found in there. So you want to make sure that you touch on those. At least go through them first and pull out what is going to be important for you in your class. Okay, let me look at comments because I haven't looked at any of these. How would I be able to access your blog? It's on markersandminions.com, and then there's a menu header that says blog. Can we squeeze it into a week in fourth, Sharon? Probably. It depends on if your students are used to already, like a lot of the routines that you're teaching, like the accountable talk and the Kagan stuff, and turn to your partner, that kind of thing. If they're already used to questioning and making predictions and that kind of thing, then you might be able to cut it down. Is this gonna be your first year with it? Being in year 2 this past year, we focused mainly on annotating, lifting lines, response to text, and I visualizing. So I just picked a few of them this year, and then I didn't pre-teach the workstations this past year in my first 15 days because I didn't introduce small groups until Unit 2, which is something we can talk about in a few weeks. So I didn't, all those days that it's like, introduce the computer workstation, blah, 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 I didn't do that. Giraffes Can't Dance, yeah, that's the one that I like for growth mindset. There's a lot of cool books for growth mindset. That Giraffes Can't Dance one, that was kind of perfect. Do you find that stations can work at individual seats, or do they need to be separate areas in the room? We have so many kids and not enough space. Yeah, you could do them at their individual seats, especially if you group them. I don't know what your seating arrangement is like, but if you group them in pods and have, a heterogeneous group of kids at your tables, then that's important, I think, for me personally, because I needed, in my small groups, I kept them heterogeneous because I needed my struggling learners to have a student that was able to help them since they were working independently and they weren't allowed to come up to me. So I did allow them to, in my class, I allowed them to get up and travel as a group to a certain area, just so and they were noisy, they would talk, because they would collaborate. But if you did keep them at their individual seats, I think it would be fine too, because they'd have their materials, they'd know what to work on. You just have to kind of establish something for your struggling students so that they would have a resource to tap into, a person. How do you all group your kids for stations? I will talk about that in a later live. Basically a mix of heterogeneous centers and homogeneous guided reading groups. What is the fiction and nonfiction pack called on TPT? It's called Response to Reading Question Strips, I think. Those Post-it notes are so cute. I have to figure out how to print them. Here, everyone. Since I posted I also have like free Post-it notes in my shop that you can download. But a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, how do you print those without jamming the printer?" So I just typed it up in a blog post. There you go. That's how you do it. So that's in the comments now. The file you're talking about is on here. The files that I was just talking about, those are all on my TPT. A lot of them, most of them are free. Let's see. Because I don't know them yet, I have the tables as a U for the first week. I have a feeling this will change to pods. I just assign them to their station. Yeah. All right, caught up. So, who all does Daily 5 already for your guided reading in small groups? If you do small groups, who does Daily 5? The workstations are very similar to the centers. In my classroom, I had, read to self, tech center. We had we had a shared laptop cart, so I would take a set of 6 or 7 each week from the cart, and I would use those in my tech center. We had a writing center, read to self, tech, writing, word work. Right? Yeah. So the point of that is to keep them working on something at their independent skill level, like at their level that they can work independently. Nothing too challenging, but it's still skills that they're learning in class. So it's not busy work, but it's not going to be super rigorous. And then the point is they're working and practicing while you pull your guided reading groups and you're sitting with them and you're working on those leveled readers with those guys. Okay, yeah, so it's the same thing. They just call it workstations. A lot of us do Daily 5 already. So you can use the I always call it rules and routines. You can use the review and routines way of introducing these centers or workstations, or you can use whatever you've already used in the past to introduce your Daily 5 centers. All of the resources that the kids are going to be working on in their centers is available within the program. That's why our program looks so huge. We have so many materials. And on Thursday, my next blog post is going to be just an overview of what the materials are, just like a bullet point list of what the skill is or what the category is, phonics, whatever, and then these are all the resources you can use. So it's going to be like a one-page cheat sheet kind of thing. And then, of course, if you don't like using their resources, I have them all in my TPT also. A little more teacher and student friendly. We have to do academy time. Oh yeah, so it's like UAT, Tina, like universal access time. I do groups within that time. Yeah, it sounds like it. Are you using the leveled readers? Word work with BA, how do you differentiate? I'm used to words their way. It's not like words their way. A lot of people still use something like that if they feel like they need further differentiation. You can pull resources from other grade levels if you need to fill in gaps there. Yes, we mix across grade levels. I used to do that when I was with LUSD. I liked that a lot. We have RTI now, and we kind of mix across grade levels for that, but it's not always ELA focused. All right, so next week, stay tuned for that post about the materials. We've got the sale, my birthday sale coming up. I forgot how old I was yesterday. I had to sit down with my husband and do the math. It's the first time that's happened. Our next live video, I think, is going to be focused around student organization, I think. And then I will have a Tuesday tip video for you as well. All right, guys, I'll hang on for 1 or 2 more minutes to see if I can answer any questions. But other than that, that is your overview of the review and routines. The first 15 days if you're upper, first 20 days if you're primary. Sale on the 15th, 14th and 15th, the whole weekend. You're welcome, Tina. I hope you're staying cool. It's 99 today, so it's a lot cooler than yesterday. It got up to 117, I think, yesterday. All right. The little yellow squares on your planner, do they open? Yes. So these little guys, they're not yellow when I printed it out. I'm not sure why. But if you download this, you'll see a little yellow square. It's a Post-it. If you click on it, it'll open up like a blur, like a speech bubble. And that's where you'll see my detailed plan there. If you're not able to open it, or if you're not able to scroll down and it's like acting funky, make sure that the PDF didn't open through your browser, because sometimes when you download it, it'll open through your browser. It'll show up on your screen right away. But go to your downloads and click open with Adobe Reader. And if you don't have Adobe Reader, just go to Google it and download it. It's a free PDF viewer. And then that'll allow you to edit and see my notes. Are there shared reading materials for the first 15 days? Yeah, so I think you're primary, Debbie. So for primary, it's shared reading. Read aloud and shared reading, meaning it's the same thing. You're going to be using either your own favorite books from your suggested read aloud, or it might have you using a big book in primary. I don't think I talked about that before. You'll have a set of big books. It's labeled review and routines, and there's one I think called Hurricanes or something that I've seen floating around. Those come in. What grade do you teach? Grade 1. Yeah, okay, so in first grade, big books start on day 11. Kinder, the big books start day 11 also. Looks like you've got poems too. You have more resources in primary. Katie's first day of school, big book. But don't feel tied to it. You know, like if you like to read First Day Jitters or something instead, do that. Let's see. And in second grade, you've got big books and poems. Here's where I've seen the Hurricanes big book. Yeah. So you'll have a set that comes with your materials for that. Let's see. Sharon, how do we get your planner, your lesson plan book? Are you talking about my physical planner? If you are, that's on my website, markersandminions.com, and there's a tab that says planner up on top. Let me see how many of those I have left. I was up in Sacramento for a workshop, and I had them for sale there. And I had leftovers afterwards that I needed to ship back down to my home here in LA. It was like 30 of them. And even though I bought insurance on them and I filed a claim and everything, they arrived damaged, and I'm not getting money back from my insurance for those. So I'm going to have to update my inventory because I'm not going to sell those ones. So I have 122 in stock, it says, and then take away I think it's like 30 that got messed up. That's here. Let me link it. Okay, Joan, can't persuade you to plan it all for us. No. I'm working on my close reader companions, which is like a lot of brain power. So whenever I'm not working on those, I'm doing something that's like Post-its or something light and fun, or I'm making those anchor charts for the review and routines that you guys can have. But yeah, those close reading companions are tough. Writing the questions is, maybe it's because of summer break, but it's a lot of brain power. Second has 2 big books for getting ready, Tina says. All right, you guys, I am done. I think I covered everything. I'll go back through and answer questions, some of your questions in the comments. I'll type them even if I've already answered them in the video. That way for people who don't watch this, they can just read through the comments and see them. And then if I missed any of your questions during this video, which I often do because my comments don't update live for some reason, I will respond to you there. All right, have a nice week, stay cool, and I'll see you tomorrow.